All right, today we're going to dive into the fascinating story of a luxury brand called Goldhaven. It's a company facing a really critical challenge, one that could either secure its future or, honestly, destroy its very soul. And that challenge is how to modernize. Let's find out how they tackled it.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the Artisan's Paradox. And this is where we get into a really interesting idea. What happens when your greatest success starts to become your biggest problem?
This quote right here, it really gets to the very soul of what Goldhaven is all about. For their clients, buying a piece of jewelry isn't just a transaction. No, it's this incredibly personal journey, an entire experience of creation. And that is what their whole stellar reputation is built on.
I want you to imagine this, a studio where master artisans know their clients by name, where every single piece of jewelry tells a unique story. I mean, this is a business built on real, deep relationships and meticulous, hands-on work. It's the kind of thing that's just so incredibly rare these days.
But here's the kicker. That very thing, that deep commitment to old-world craftsmanship that makes them so special, well, that's now threatening their entire future. It's a classic paradox, one that a lot of these heritage brands are wrestling with right now.
All right, Section 2, an outdated elegance. So let's pull back the curtain a little bit and see what's really going on behind this beautiful, elegant facade. On the surface, what clients see is just this seamless, perfect elegance. But behind the scenes, oh man, the reality is, it's a mess. We're talking a tangled web of handwritten logs, fragmented spreadsheets, scattered design files. The whole operation is basically running on what people remember. And that, my friends, is a super fragile foundation to build a business on. Okay, now, let's switch hats for a second. Put yourself in the shoes of a potential buyer or an investor. What do you see when you look under the hood? You see absolutely zero operational transparency. You see very limited scalability. And you see a huge risk for any kind of future growth. So yeah, you're looking at a beautiful, iconic brand, but a very, very messy business.
And look, the luxury world is not just sitting around waiting. I mean, it is moving fast. Competitors are already jumping on modern tools, everything from big ERP systems to AI-driven design. So for Goldhaven, the pressure is seriously on. Standing still isn't just standing still, it's actively falling behind.
Okay, on to Section 3, the digital dilemma. This is it. Goldhaven has officially arrived at a major crossroads. And honestly, the next decision they make is going to define their entire future.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How in the world do you modernize? How do you bring in all this digital efficiency without completely losing the brand's soul? How do you do it without stripping away that human touch, that artisanal spirit that makes the brand so valuable in the first place?
So they basically got three main paths they can go down. First, they could go for a full ERP system. The huge benefit there is total integration, everything talking to everything. But the risk? It's incredibly expensive and super disruptive. Option 2, they could use smaller, modular tools. That's way more flexible and targeted, but then you run the risk of integration becoming an absolute nightmare. And finally, there's the custom solution. It would be perfectly tailored to them, but it's also the most expensive and time-intensive path by a long shot.
And when you look at how they're weighing this decision, it tells you everything. This chart reveals that the choice isn't really about the tech at all. Just look at this. Strategic fit and brand integrity together make up the biggest chunk, way more than just the cost. This is a decision about the company's core identity. The technology, it's just the tool. It's not the goal.
So that brings us to Section 4, forging a modern legacy. How do they actually move forward from here? Well, the answer isn't just about buying new software, it's about a complete strategic transformation.
So the guiding principle for this whole project becomes crystal clear. The goal is to use digital tools to enhance the artisanal identity, not to replace it. Technology has to serve the artisans. It's all about amplifying what makes Goldhaven so special, making that bespoke experience even better, not turning the place into some cookie-cutter factory line.
And the roadmap they came up with is this really smart 4-step framework. First step, codify the craft. That means getting all that priceless institutional knowledge out of those scattered logs and into one central digital home. Step 2, enhance the experience. Use all that new data to make the client's journey even more special. Third, ensure transparency. You got to create a single source of truth so the operation is clear for everyone, especially future investors. And finally, and this is maybe the most important part, preserve the soul. Through it all, you have to choose tools that support and empower the artisans, not supplant them.
All right, our final section, number 5, the Gold Haven Rule. So after all of this, what's the big lesson here? What's the one thing to take away? Well, it can all be distilled into one really powerful principle.
And we're going to call it the Gold Haven Rule. Here's the idea. Modernization isn't about replacing a brand's soul. It's about building a modern framework around it to amplify its value. Think about it like this. You don't tear down a beautiful historic building. No way. You build a modern, strong, maybe even invisible framework around it that supports it, protects it, and ultimately makes it even more valuable to the whole world.
And here's why this matters, and not just for a jewelry company. This matters for any business that has a unique heritage. The real goal isn't just to preserve the past like it's in a museum, it's about making that past transparent, making it scalable, and making it secure. That's how you unlock its true value for the future.
So this leaves us with a question to think about. Every business, every organization has its own gilded past, that core identity, that special something that makes it unique. So the question for all of us is this: how are you balancing your own gilded past with your digital future? How are you building that modern framework to carry your legacy forward?